My name is Joseph. I'm 30, from Denver. For 3 years, I thought I knew what my life would look like. I lived with my girlfriend, Louisa, who's 28. That night began like any other. We ate leftovers, then stretched out on the couch to finish a show. Halfway through, Louisa dozed off with a blanket to her chin, the TV humming in the background. I reached for her tablet to check the time because my phone was charging in the bedroom. A little red dot sat on the corner of an app one recognized from years ago, Matchmate. I almost set the tablet back down. Old account, I thought. Spam, probably. Then curiosity nudged me. I tapped the icon. Her profile opened like a door I didn't know we had. It was Louisa in a photo she'd taken last week, the same yellow sweater from Sunday brunch. Another picture showed her at Sloan's Lake, hair in a messy bun, sunlight on her face. The bio wasn't long, but it hit hard. Looking for someone exciting. Tired of playing house with someone who doesn't understand adventure. I read that line twice. My hands felt warm, like I'd been holding them too close to a heater. I scrolled past the prompts and saw the section for relationship status. She'd set it to single. Below that were messages, names, times, and short lines from people I'd never met. One conversation sat near the top with a guy named Brad. He had sent a clinking glasses emoji and wrote, "Friday work for you?" She'd replied, "Maybe. Let me see." I stared at the screen until the show ended and the apartment settled into quiet. Nothing dramatic, just the everyday sounds of the fridge cycling and the radiator clicking. I didn't think about what to say. I just felt a weight in my chest and a space open up in my mind at the same time, like a shelf suddenly cleared. Louisa stirred and blinked at the TV light. "Louisa," she said, voice low, "what are you doing up?" I turned the tablet around so she could see it. "What is this?" She pushed herself upright, hair falling over one eye. When she looked at the screen, her expression didn't twist into panic. It flattened into something else. Irritated, like I'd paused the show at a bad moment. "Oh my God," she said. "Why are you going through my stuff?" I couldn't believe that was the first thing out of her mouth. "Your stuff? This isn't a grocery list, Louisa. It's a dating profile. You're calling yourself single." "It's not a big deal," she said, rubbing her forehead. "Can we not do this at midnight?" "It is a big deal," I said, keeping my voice even. "You're messaging people. You told a guy you might get drinks." She shifted on the couch, pulling the blanket tighter, eyes steady on me. "Louisa, it's an app." I was curious. Everyone has apps. It doesn't mean anything. I glanced at the photos again because a small part of me wanted to be wrong. Wanted to find some line that made sense of it all, some joke I'd missed. There wasn't one. Just Louisa, smiling at strangers like our life hadn't been part of the picture she chose. "Why?" I asked. One word. It felt strange in my mouth. "Why this?" She let out a short breath and stared at the rug, then back at me. "Because I wanted to see what's out there." I thought of the jar on the counter. The notes we'd left each other on the fridge. The way she'd asked me last month if I'd rather live near Wash Park or uptown, when the time comes. I thought of her laughing in that yellow sweater. "Is that what we are?" I said. "A placeholder while you browse." Her eyes flicked from the tablet to me. "You're making this heavier than it is." But it already was heavy. Even sitting there, I could feel the balance shift. Not with a scene from a movie. Just a quiet choice that changed the room. "Louisa," I said, calmer now. "This isn't nothing." She didn't answer. That was the moment I understood something simple and hard. I didn't know what we were anymore. And I wasn't sure she did either. Louisa stayed quiet for a long time, staring at the tablet like it was just another pop-up to swipe away. Then she gave a small shrug. "Yeah, I made it." "So what?" Her calmness threw me off more than the profile itself. I blinked. "So what?" "Louisa, you're on a dating site. You live here. With me." She leaned back into the couch, her tone shifting, a little sharp around the edges. "Joseph, relax. I'm not doing anything wrong. I just wanted to see what's out there. It's not like I've met anyone." "You've been messaging people," I said. "You told someone you were single." She rubbed her eyes and sighed, like this conversation was just another chore. "It's just conversation. I'm not cheating. It's my right to see what options exist. Everyone does it. You wouldn't understand." That phrase stuck to me. My right. Like loyalty was optional. Like commitment came with a free trial period. "You're right." I asked quietly. "You really think it's okay to go behind my back, make a profile, flirt with strangers, and call that a right?" She folded her arms. "You're being dramatic. I'm just exploring, Joseph. You've been so boring lately. You work, you come home, we eat, we sleep. You never talk about new things." Maybe I needed attention. Maybe I needed to feel alive again. Something in me sank. Because she wasn't wrong about me working hard, but she was wrong about why. I'd been taking extra hours so we could finally move into a better place. So she could start that photography class she kept talking about. So the life she said she wanted could be real. "I've been working for us," I said quietly. "Not because I don't care. She gave a small laugh, not mocking, but tired. Joseph, you always say that. But what's us anymore? You're planning for some version of the future that doesn't even feel fun. I stood, pacing near the coffee table. So your solution was to look for someone else instead of talking to me? Her eyes followed me. I didn't meet anyone, she said again, a little louder. God, you're acting like I cheated. I stopped pacing. It's not about what you did. It's about what you chose. She rolled her eyes and looked away. You're overreacting. That word, overreacting, cut deeper than any excuse. Because it meant she didn't see the problem. To her, this was harmless curiosity. To me, it was pulling the rug out from everything we'd built. The silence that followed felt heavier than any fight we'd ever had. The kind that fills a room with everything you don't say. I looked at her one last time, still curled on the couch, blanket around her shoulders, expression somewhere between defensive and tired, and realized there was no apology coming. I need space, I said finally. She didn't move, didn't ask me to stay, just muttered, fine, do what you want. So I did. I walked into the bedroom, pulled a small duffel bag from the closet, and packed enough clothes for a few days. The sound of the zipper felt louder than it should have. When I came back out, she was scrolling through her phone, pretending not to notice me. I'm not angry, I said quietly, but I can't sit here pretending this is normal. She gave a small shrug without looking up. You'll calm down. Maybe she believed that. Maybe part of me did too. But standing at the door, I knew something had shifted. The steady life we'd built now felt paper thin. I stepped outside into the cool night air. The street was quiet, porch lights flickering across parked cars. I sat in my car for a while before turning the key. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe not. But all I could see in my mind was her smiling face on that dating profile, writing about excitement, pretending the life we shared wasn't enough. And for the first time in years, I didn't know if I'd ever go back inside. I sat in my car that night, engine off, parked 2 blocks from our apartment. The quiet gave me too much room to think. Streetlights reflected off the windshield as I scrolled through the screenshots again, trying to make sense of them. Her words kept looping in my mind. It's just exploring. I'm not cheating. It's my right. Right. Like commitment came with a return policy. I wanted to believe her. I really did. Maybe she was just curious. Maybe this was one of those strange lapses people talk about in relationship podcasts, where someone feels stuck, does something stupid, and then regrets it. But every time I tried to rationalize, my gut reminded me. She'd told a stranger she was single. She'd made plans. This wasn't curiosity. It was a choice. And sometimes, betrayal doesn't start with a kiss. It starts with a click. By morning, the initial anger had settled into something colder, focus. If she was really just exploring, then I needed to see it for myself. Because right now, I didn't trust her words, I needed proof. So I made a plan. New email. New photos. I used a few old ones of mine that she'd never seen, from a hiking trip with friends years ago. Gave myself a different name, Ryan. Simple enough. Casual bio. Nothing flashy. I opened Matchmate, searched the area, and there she was. Her profile. Active. Status updated just an hour ago. That was all the confirmation I needed. She hadn't deleted it, hadn't paused it, hadn't even tried to hide it. For a second, I almost closed the app. I didn't want to go down this road. But a part of me needed to know if she'd take the bait. If she was truly just exploring or actually engaging. So I swiped right. 5 minutes later, match. A notification blinked at the top. Louisa liked you back. Then, before I could even think, a message popped up. Hey, you look familiar, winking face. My chest tightened. She didn't recognize me. Different photos, different name, different city listed. I stared at the screen, debating whether to respond. Part of me felt sick doing this, like I was becoming the thing I hated. But another part, the part that had stayed up all night wondering what else she might be hiding, whispered that I needed to know. So I typed back. Maybe you've seen me around. You from Denver. A few minutes later, she replied. Sort of. Just exploring for now. Looking for something exciting. The same phrase from her bio. Word for word. It wasn't an accident. She'd meant it. I put my phone down and leaned back against the seat, staring out at the still street. So this is what options looked like. Messaging strangers. Calling yourself single. Smiling in new pictures like your whole life wasn't already intertwined with someone else's. I took a deep breath. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It wasn't curiosity or boredom. It was a pattern. And if she'd matched with me this quickly, I wondered how many others she'd matched with before. That thought alone made my stomach twist. I decided I wasn't going to react yet. Not until I knew the full story. Because if she truly believed it was her right to see what's out there, then I wanted to see, too, how far she'd gone, what she'd said, and whether she'd crossed a line she couldn't come back from. I opened her profile again, studying the details, every prompt, every reply, and one thing became clear. This wasn't the only app she'd used. There were signs, mentions of cross-platform chats, a linked email, phrases she wouldn't use in real life. And that's when the suspicion crept in. What if Matchmate was just one of many? The idea gnawed at me. I knew I couldn't sleep until I knew the truth. So I made a decision. When she left for work tomorrow, I'd check her tablet again. I didn't want to invade her privacy. I just wanted honesty. Because at this point, it didn't feel like a relationship anymore. It felt like a one-sided experiment, one I hadn't agreed to join. The next morning, I watched Louisa move around the apartment like nothing had happened. She poured coffee, hummed to herself, even asked if I wanted a bagel. It was strange how easy it was for her to act normal while I sat there, half listening, thinking about the messages from last night. When she left for work, I waited a few minutes, then opened her tablet again. If I was going to walk away, I needed to be sure. I started with her browser history. Most of it looked normal: news sites, YouTube, shopping. But buried between them were visits to Elite Connect and Spark Soul. Both dating platforms. Both with logins that matched her email. My stomach tightened. I clicked through. Same photo. Same bio. Slightly different captions, but the same tone. Searching, restless, a version of her that didn't include me. She wasn't just exploring. She was invested. By now, the fake profile I'd made had more messages. I checked the app on my phone. She'd replied again. You seeing anyone right now? I'd asked. Not really, she'd written back. It's complicated. Complicated. That's how she described a 3-year relationship. The same one where we shared rent, groceries, and a plan for the future. Any last piece of doubt I had fell away. I leaned back, trying to steady myself. This wasn't a small mistake or moment of curiosity. It was a quiet betrayal. She'd looked me in the eye last night, told me it was harmless, and then woke up this morning ready to keep going. By the time she got home that evening, I printed screenshots. Every profile, every message, every exploring for excitement line. I sat at the dining table, the tablet in front of me, papers spread out like pieces of evidence I didn't want to need. The door clicked open. Hey, she called. You're home early. I didn't answer. She turned the corner, saw the table, and froze mid-step. Oh my God, she groaned. You're still on this? I looked up at her. You told me it was one profile. Just curiosity. You lied. You made 3 accounts, Louisa. 3. You've been messaging strangers for weeks. She sighed and set her purse down, frustration rising in her voice. Louisa, you're spiraling. I didn't meet anyone. You're acting like I've had an affair. Then explain this. I turned the tablet around and opened the chat, the fake profile. My messages. Her replies. Her face went pale. Recognize the guy you matched with? I asked softly. That was me. Her lips parted, but no sound came. She stepped closer, eyes darting across the screen. You made a fake account? I made a test, I said. You failed. She sank into the chair across from me, rubbing her temples. I didn't know it was you. That's the point, I said. You didn't recognize the man you live with. You just saw someone new and decided to flirt. She shook her head slowly, whispering, I didn't think you'd ever find out. I set the tablet down. That's what makes it worse. You didn't care. Not about the truth, not about me. Just the attention. She tried again, voice quieter now. Louisa, I wasn't trying to hurt you. I don't know. I wanted to feel something different. I stared at her, really seeing her, not the woman I'd build a life with, but someone who'd checked out long before tonight. You could have talked to me, I said. But you didn't want to fix anything. You wanted a backup plan. Her eyes filled, but I didn't move. The distance between us had already been set. I stood up, closing the tablet. You said it was your right to see what's out there. I'm starting to think it's my right to walk away. She didn't stop me when I left the room. This time, she didn't call after me, didn't ask where I was going. Just sat there, staring at the open app like it held answers neither of us wanted to face. For a moment, neither of us spoke. The air in the room felt heavy, not angry, just final. I stood near the doorway, holding my bag, while Louisa sat at the table, eyes locked on the tablet like it could rewrite everything that happened. You recognize the guy you matched with? I asked quietly. Her voice barely came out. That was you. Yeah, I said. That was me. You said you were single. You flirted. You planned to meet. You didn't just look. You lied. To me, and to yourself. She blinked a few times, hands clasped on the table. I didn't think you'd ever find out. That's exactly the problem, I said. You didn't care what it would do, as long as it stayed hidden. Tears welled up in her eyes, but I didn't move closer. I'd seen those tears before, after smaller fights, when things went wrong, and she wanted to skip over the hard parts. I was lonely, Louisa, she whispered. You stopped being fun. Everything just got routine. I wanted to feel wanted again. I nodded slowly. You wanted attention, and you got it. But now you've lost something else, respect. And me. She reached across the table. Please, don't leave. We can work through this. I can delete everything. I'll go to therapy, whatever it takes. I looked at her hand, then back at her face. You made finding someone else your right. I'm just giving you that freedom, permanently. Her eyes widened, but I didn't wait for her to argue. I picked up my bag, opened the door, and stepped out into the hall. She didn't follow. There wasn't yelling. No slammed doors. Just silence. The kind that comes when something ends, not because of one fight, but because too many small moments finally added up. The next few weeks blurred into routine. I stayed with a friend, signed up for a gym membership, and started seeing a therapist. Talking helped. So did distance. The first week, I checked my phone constantly, half expecting an apology or some big gesture. But it never came. The second week, I stopped checking. The third, I realized I didn't need to. By the time a month passed, the weight I'd been carrying felt lighter. I could breathe without replaying that night in my head. Then, one afternoon, while scrolling through Match made out of boredom, I saw her name pop up. Louisa. Same face. New bio. Learning from mistakes. Looking for honesty. And a message. Hey, didn't expect to see you here. Can we talk? I stared at it for a minute. Maybe she was sincere. Maybe not. I'd never know. But I didn't reply. Because by then, I'd learned something she hadn't. Trust isn't a right. It's a choice. And once you treat loyalty like an option, it's only a matter of time before someone chooses to walk away. I deleted the notification, closed the app, and sat back. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like peace, the kind that comes when you finally stop trying to fix something that doesn't want to be fixed. So that's how it ended. No dramatic scene, no last-minute change of heart. Just two people who stopped seeing the same future. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.